Got this really nice LS kit from Novak. Exactly where are we going to put this in? Comes with transmission, comes with transfer case. Well, Robby's got his Jeep. He has bought this motor, and let's strip this thing all the way down. First we remove the old motor, we take the body, strip it all the way down to metal, and then we start the build-up process from there. The frame was taken all the way down, the lift kit was added, and it was completely cleaned and then painted with a Rust-Oleum black, so it'll last for a real long time. The engine install involves putting new motor mounts, lining them up, and the finished product was really nice. The engine was really huge. And then body work, it was something else. Filling up the old body holes where the flares were, taking the new fender flares that were not meant to be as nice as they turned out to be. The hood had a few dents. We worked those in and out, and the base coat of primer, direct metal primer actually, was put on. We made some modifications of flares. We didn't like the extra holes, and then we had to smooth all that out and make them look like they were factory. The doors were assembled and then lined back up, and the gaps were filled in. The doors came out pretty slick. They typical Jeep door. We had to make them as smooth as we possibly could. So lots of body work, lots of block work to get them flat. The body was mated back to the frame so we could check all the alignment. The body was in, smoothed over. There's no more rivet seams on the side, and there's about probably 5 or 6 blockings of this thing to get it as smooth as we wanted. Once everything was to where we felt we were comfortable with it, a sealer was applied, and we started the painting process. And there's several little clips of pictures of where we worked on the body and how smooth we got the body and what all it took to get a Jeep body smooth. The fenders, flares, again, I say they were tough to work. Once everything was put down into a final prime, blocked down for the very last time, the sealer started being applied. The base coat, which is this actual candy pearl paint from Candy Shop, was applied. Everything on this Jeep was painted. There's nothing hidden. Even though there were going to be roll bar padding, even though there was going to be other things that covered up the roll bars, we wanted everything slick, shiny, and green. And piece by piece, all the pieces started being put together and painted. The final base coat of Jeep is seen here, and this is the first time the Jeep saw sun after clear was applied, and that paint really sparkled. Then the wet sand process began. 1,000, 1,500, 2,500, 3,000 grit, and then the buff job started. After that, we started the final assembly with the stainless trim, and that green really popped once the stainless trim started being seen. We were real careful to tape off to make sure, when we were adjusting, to make sure nothing would scratch the paint. And chrome and chrome and chrome started being applied to this Jeep. The wiring was really interesting in this swap. Even though it was a kit, it was still a tedious task to get everything to line up and still work like a factory Jeep. And it was amazing how the green transformed as you were adding more and more pieces to this Jeep, and you could actually see how the black and the chrome was going to pop against that green paint. The door panels were brand new. They had to be fitted, and then of course all the routing for the engine and the wiring. The floorboards were all undercoated, top and bottom, with bed liner for a good sound deadening and for rust prevention for later on down the road. Robby got to sit in his Jeep, and we actually formed or bent the handles or gear knobs, gear shift levers to match him so he'd be comfortable driving it. Final assembly started taking place. The carpet, even though it was supposed to fit exactly so, there was a lot of trimming and molding to make fit. The diamond pleated seats, and they are leather, looked outstanding in this Jeep. They were not real easy to mate, but we got them in, we got them fit, and they worked well. The Jeep finally made sunshine, and the ceramic coat was applied to the Jeep. The little final touches for reservoirs, for marker lights, and all that was just time consuming. The hood was mated up, lined up well. The engine was cleaned up. Of course, we got it dirty while we were buffing, and then we got it out for the final touches. Windshield wipers, which are at a 45-degree angle on the YJ. I had forgotten that. And then there's Robby with the same pose where he bought his Jeep in 1994, and now it's in 2026.